Okay. I have to admit, I'm a bit of a dork. I like fucking around with various apps and operating systems. So, naturally, I've learned to love Linux. I can't tell you how many different distros, both good and bad, that I've tried. There's been one distribution of Linux, however, that I won't forget. And to this day, I'm shocked, disturbed, and moreover confused as to how it exists and why anyone would want it. Meet GLinux. I first came across it when trying to find a new distro on various torrent websites. I came across a file that simply said glinux10.iso, presumably the latest edition, 2010. I was weirded out when I noticed that the ISO was 6 gigabytes. Most distributions are less than 1. I thought nothing of it. I was excited, though, really. I thought that this was a distro I had heard about that featured an assload of video games and emulators and ROMs on it. Hence the name GLinux and the size. G for games, I should say. I popped in the CD and booted up my computer, installing it. I was met with a low-res red logo and various different questions like the date, my location, etc. I got to a question called Favorite War, which kind of creeped me out. I had no idea what to do, so I clicked the most recent one in Iraq. The PC restarted, and I was greeted with what may be the most disgusting, disturbing thing I've ever seen. When I logged in, the welcome chime sounded like a woman shrieking. The OS looked very much like older versions of Ubuntu, albeit the font was in Comic Sans, and all the selectable wallpapers were that of weapons, or nuclear explosions. I decided to explore the OS and see default apps. All that seemed to be there were the typical pictures, videos, downloads folders, Firefox, Rhythmbox, and Vooz. When loading Firefox, I was shocked to realize that the app was themed and had dozens of bookmarks, all leading to various shock sites, like the YNC, Rotten, Sharon Boat, and more. I made nothing of it, and thought that it was simply a compiled ISO of what some random guy was using. When downloading a song, I opened up Rhythmbox to play it, and noticed a selection of tracks already loaded with numeric titles. Each of them seemed to have been low-quality recordings of what seemed to be an interrogation. I didn't really bother listening to them all, as some were upwards of an hour long. The later songs, 6 to 10, scared me shitless. It was nothing but 10 minutes each of someone screaming while being hit with what sounded like something metal. I instantly knew that something was up. Looking in the folders, I honestly felt my heart skip a beat and my soul shatter. The pictures folder, it had thousands of pictures of corpses, crime scene photos, or war photos. The videos folder was worse. It had dozens of videos of people standing in front of a white cloth background as a hand appears from the left and shoots them in the face. As I looked at the thumbnails, I noticed that in the background there was a pile of decomposed bodies that grew larger and larger. Other videos seemed like they were filmed specifically for the OS, one of them being a first-person view of someone lighting a homeless man's makeshift shelter on fire. I officially had enough. This was some sick shit, and I wasn't going to take it. I quickly clicked the top right of the screen to shut off the computer. Before it began to turn off, though, a pop-up appeared with a 1990s styled clip art of a smiley face, giving me the middle finger, with the message, "Didn't like it, did ya?" Not many people do. Well, at least we have another IP address, thus another fan of GLinux. computer turned off. I made sure to take the OS off and physically destroy the DVD-R that I burned it on. I tried finding answers, but to no avail. The torrent was gone, and the only places that I could find traces of the OS were by finding weird Russian language forums through Google and Bing. I didn't use my desktop for at least a week afterwards. I wanted to call the police, but how do you explain all this? A week ago, I got a letter in the mail from someone in Oregon with an obviously fake name and address. The stamp was a yellow ribbon commemorating a fallen soldier. I opened it up and read this message. Thanks for trying out the latest edition of GLinux. It's a shame that you tried deleting some of the wonderful educational content we've provided on the disk. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future additions to GLinux, please contact me. I instantly grabbed my phone and gave this man a call. I wanted to know what would make someone release such a sick, surreal thing. When I called him, I got a voicemail message which said the following. Hey, you've reached my mobile phone. By calling me, you have agreed to participate in the upcoming Pacific Northwestern GLinux Film Festival. This year's event will be held in Portland, Oregon. Please provide at least 2 different video submissions. We are not responsible for any legal or health-related issues along the way. Thanks for listening. And when I can get back to you, I will. Needless to say, I changed my phone number after that.